Well, many believe it will be the heartland that leads our country out of recession. In terms of job growth for young people, Oklahoma City commonly outranks markets like Dallas, Seattle, and New York City. In our continuing focus on the future, we start off with a discussion with Jason Henderson, who heads up the Omaha branch of the Federal Reserve Bank. It seems as if the middle of America fared better in this past recession than people on both coasts. Is rural America leading the recovery?
Rural America is leading the recovery, really being led by the Great Plains region and here in Oklahoma. A lot of it has been driven by commodities. Energy and agriculture, commodity prices are fairly high, and it's leading to increased profitability for those sectors, and that's spilling over into the rural communities and on rural main streets. The other thing is that it's not just in terms of the commodity-based aspects of it, but when you look at the manufacturing sectors in rural America, they're also based upon energy and also based upon agriculture in terms of equipment and just food processing. And what we're enjoying and seeing in those industries is stronger export activity coming from agriculture and some of the services on the energy side.
So for those industries where exports are so important, how important are emerging economies like India and Brazil and China?
The BRIC countries, Brazil, Russia, India, and China, are hugely important for U.S. exporters. I think not only here in the near term, but also I think long term. By 2040, they're supposed to be the 5 largest economies: Brazil, Russia, India, and China. And as they raise their standards of living, they want more household amenities. They want to eat better foods, and all of this opens up a strong demand for food and energy, and which is our commodity-based industries. And so that's leading and driving, I think, new opportunities for rural America.
Here in the Southern Plains, energy and agriculture are 2 of the larger industries, and they really are very tied together. Is there competition from these global economies that we're talking about, the BRIC countries?
Yeah, there is. The whole world is looking at BRIC countries as potential new market opportunities. We're competing with Brazil in terms of the agricultural commodities. We're competing with Argentina in terms of corn, and Australia in terms of wheat, all trying to export to these countries. And so there's an intense amount of competition. But I think at the end of the day, people are looking at, you have a large amount of that sector's part of the world's population that's living on less than $2.50 per day. And once they start to raise their incomes, they start to expand their consumer purchases. And one of the things that they've been doing has been expanding their household amenities. They're using more, they've incorporated the use of refrigerators in their homes. The next step is the microwave oven. And as they do that, they change the amount of food that they eat, they change what types of foods they eat. But when you talk about refrigerators and microwaves, you also need energy, because you have to power those types of household amenities. And so I think from both fronts, as they develop, as they incorporate more household amenities like the refrigerator and the microwave oven into their daily lives, that's going to increase the demand for food and energy.
Here in Middle America, we are very dependent upon commodities, and they typically have boom and bust cycles. How do we diversify?
I think in terms of diversifying, it's also recognizing that we can go beyond commodities. That to take a raw commodity to its final consumption, the final good that people actually consume, there has to be some more processing. And so we export a lot of commodities outside of our communities, outside of our regions, and outside of the state of Oklahoma. And so I think the challenge is to think about how can we do more of the processing in-state? How can we add value? And that's how, in terms of the first step, I think, of a diversification is expanding, not just producing the raw commodity and shipping that to some other location to be processed, but how do you do the processing within the state of Oklahoma, and you're shipping out the final good, because that brings additional jobs, and you get an additional type of value-added activity and a margin that's usually greater than a commodity-based margin.
Has technology changed the playing field in terms of either job recovery or job growth, what type of jobs we're going to have in the future?
Yeah, technology has played a major role in terms of the type of economy that we're operating in. One of the first things that technology does is allow us to be more efficient. So we have increased productivity, which means that we can do more with less people. That's one of the things that's really, in terms of this recovery, is limited job growth. We've been very efficient in terms of our businesses, and adopting technologies, enhancing technologies from computers to production lines to be more efficient in the use of personnel. The other thing that technology does is it does open up new markets. And so when you think about rural communities and you have the adoption of broadband, we can do some outsourcing. We can do computer services in rural America. We can outsource not to India, not necessarily to China, but we can outsource to other locations where wages are a little bit cheaper, but the quality is good and the talent is available. And so I think technology allows us to do those things, not just from the service side, from computer services, but we also have to think about our manufacturers, just-in-time inventory, lean manufacturing. All those different technologies allow us to be more efficient in our usage, but it also makes us more productive. And so finally, we think about the new technologies in terms of what we can do. How do they create new products?